there. So what was I going to talk about today? Oh, so in a minute you'll see why it's a name that I forgot this. But one of the things that one of my hyper focuses that has lasted for a long time. I've tried lots of this stuff. I did some martial arts. I did some like paper crafts and painting and like all kinds of stuff. And the things that I've kept to consistently, one is rock climbing and one is knitting. I take some breaks from knitting sometimes, but I always come back to it. And so one of the things I've been working on is this little dress with this little bottom that looks like a watermelon for my great niece's first birthday. I'm a little concerned it might be too small, but I'll just make it bigger if I need to. And then the other thing is I was planning on putting little seed, like, because it looks like a watermelon, little seeds for the pockets, which in theory looked really cute in my head, but in execution, they just looked bad. So instead, I've ordered some oval black buttons that I'm going to put on and try to make it look a little bit more watermelon-y than it did when I put in the pockets, because it was just not working for me. Yeah, and then I've got another one that I'm going to make. I don't know why I think that little kids should be dressed like food or vegetables or fruits or whatever, because I'm going to make a little romper that looks like a strawberry. I'm also very excited about that, but I needed some new needles because I didn't have that size. So those came today. So I will start that. I don't know what it is about knitting because a lot of it is very repetitive. And so you'd think that I would get very bored. And I have discovered that if I do too many of the same kinds of projects, I do get bored. Like for a long time, I was doing hats. And then I was getting crazy about, oh my God, I'm going to make all these hats because they're cute and they're fun and they're easy because they're little kids' hats. But then after I bought a bunch of supplies, I kind of got bored of doing hats. But at the same time, I feel overwhelmed by doing bigger things like sweaters, although I've done a couple for my son recently because the color choices for boys' sweaters kind of suck, and he's a very colorful child. So I'm branching out into clothes for small people, because one of the things is, like, if I had to work on a giant blanket, it's never going to get done because I can't. That's just too long of a project. So it's not so much that a particular stitch might be repetitive, it's how long is it going to take me to finish the whole project. If I can't finish the whole project in a reasonable amount of time, I'm going to lose my steam and it's going to sit forever and ever and ever. And until it ultimately becomes like what my mother-in-law passed on to me, which was a sweater that she began knitting for my father-in-law, maybe when they were dating, maybe when they had just gotten married, but that she never finished, but she kept it. And then when she learned I knitted, she passed it on to me. They've been married for 60 years. There's like, I was not going to do anything with this project, and the yarn was like scratchy and uncomfortable anyway. But yeah, that's what happens when you set aside a project. Even if you don't have ADHD, when you set aside a knitting project, you might not ever come back to it, and then you're passing it on to your daughter-in-law. Anyway, that's what I have been working on lately. And that was also what was sitting in my lap, which was why it was ridiculous that I couldn't remember at the beginning of this what I was going to talk about. But there you go. Anyway, I would love to know what kinds of hobbies that you've stuck with and which ones you've tried and given up. And if you would, or would like to, if you want to, this is sounding inane, but if you would like to subscribe, share, and like, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.